seems as if it doesn't matter whether it's a brand new racetrack or a track the Cup Series has been on for decades. Chase Elliott just keeps on winning. No matter what road course it is, the man just finds a way to win. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to another episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. We got a lot to talk about, recapping the second Cup Series race at Road America. A lot of new storylines, new drivers stepping up to the plate. But at the end of the day, Chase Elliott, the road course king, comes out on top. Now, if you don't remember, qualifying took place earlier in the day at around 11 a.m. And Chase Elliott, he started 34th. Now, the reason why was because he wasn't able to get an actual qualifying lap in. This was due to, especially late in the session, due to an incident with Bubba Wallace when he was stopped on the racetrack. Due to a transmission issue, NASCAR threw the caution. Chase Elliott was in the middle of completing, or at least beginning his lap. He wasn't able to get a lap in, and as a result, he had to start at the back of the field. Also, other drivers that had either issues or just ran really poorly. Chase Briscoe, who also runs really good on the road courses, starts 35th. Austin Dillon, who was trying to hold his spot in the playoffs, started 37th. Harvick, 25th. And Kyle Busch. We knew he was going to start dead last after he crashed during practice, but a lot of big names that are finding their way from the back of the pack. But yeah, while Chase was trying to move his way up, his teammates William Byron and Kyle Larson, they qualified on the front row. And already we saw a lot of incidents, a lot of moments took place. AJ Allmendinger, who started third in this race, we expected him to be a factor in contending for the win. He already had a major issue in terms of the heat. As I talked about in the pre-race show, July is blistering hot, and today was no exception. It was in the mid to high 90s, I believe it was. On top of that, with the heat index, it was probably up in the triple digits. And when you're in that condition, you need to try and remain as cool as possible. Allmendinger, he has a helmet. Attached to his helmet is like a cooler box that allows him to keep his head cool, gets cool air, keeps him under control. That broke off, or that fell off his helmet right at the beginning. So he had no air circulation around his head. And when you're cooking in a race car upwards of 130 degrees, it starts to get real uncomfortable real fast. So yeah, they were really fighting that problem, trying to get it hooked back up into his helmet all race long. In the meantime, there was a lot of incidents that took place in this race, especially two parts of the track where I think a lot of drivers and a lot of people expected problems. Turn 5 and the kink. But first, in turn 5, we had our first issue of the day. It involves Daniel Suarez. Suarez came into this race with a lot of momentum on his side, moving up into the point standings within 48 points behind the cut line. What he did not need was this to happen. Coming off of turn number 5, he got underneath Denny Hamlin, and then all of a sudden the car just doesn't accelerate, either a drivetrain issue or a transmission problem, but he just stops uphill right before turn 6 and needed to get pushed back into pit road and went into the garage. That would end up being the first caution. We restart with 10 to go, and once again in turn 5 was where a lot of the action took place. You had Kyle Larson coming in hot, tries to take the lead away, ends up going way too hard. Not only does he lose the lead, but he then loses second place to AJ Allmendinger. One lap later, at the exact same corner, Ryan Preece goes off track with smoke coming out of his car. He took it to the garage and was done for the day. That was more of an engine issue, not a transmission or drivetrain issue like with Suarez. But Preece also crashed during practice, so he had a horrible weekend at Road America. Then, with around 3 laps to go, we saw some drivers prepare for the second stage. Cindric, Truex, Benedetto, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Chase Briscoe, Eric Almirola, and Bubba Wallace, and I think a few other drivers. They all pitted with 3 laps to go to prepare for the second stage. At the same time, Ty Dillon, he spun by himself at the kink, which is turn 11. And then also at that same time, Kyle Tilley, who was driving in the 78 car, he has the left front tire go down at the carousel and ends up stopping into the gravel. That would end up bringing out the caution, and the race would end, or at least the stage would enter the caution, with William Byron winning, Allmendinger in second, Larson third, Reddick in fourth, Chastain fifth, 6th is Hamlin, Bell 7th, Bowman 8th, Kurt Busch 9th, and right out the top 10 is Chase Elliott. Yeah, Elliott started 34th and was already up inside the top 10. Granted, some drivers pitted, like the ones that I mentioned, but still, he got his way up towards the front in a hurry. Same thing with Kyle Busch. He also got up to the front real quickly before he decided to pit to prepare for the second stage. Yeah, all those drivers that pitted, they got a huge advantage because of that caution. They were in better shape than the other drivers for stage 2, except for Austin Dillon, who was caught too fast exiting and had to suffer a speeding penalty. So after pit stops, Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott, they gained an additional 4 spots. Hamlin to 2nd, Chase to 6th. Allmendinger fell back to 10th to help fix that air cooler issue. But they will all restart from 10th on back because of those drivers that I mentioned. They stayed out for stage 2 and would begin the race out in front. And Austin Cindric. Cindric was a driver that a lot of us expected to run really well at these types of tracks. Look at Coda, for example. And he flexed some muscle at stage number 2. Right away, right before entering turn number 1, Cindric makes it 3 wide on Truex and Benedetto to take the lead. But then, very surprisingly, Matt DiBenedetto, who not the type of driver you'd expect to run well on a road course, all of a sudden here he is challenging one of the best drivers on road courses in NASCAR. On his bumper he is on Cindric, and he ends up getting back at him, putting a lot of pressure. He gets to Cindric's inside in turn 3, had a bit of a crossover in turn 5, and officially clears him in turn 6 to take the lead. It was a really fun, cool little battle between Cindric and DiBenedetto. And again, it was also quite shocking because DiBenedetto is not the type of guy you expect to do well on a road course. If I were to say the type of tracks DiBenedetto would run well on, it'd probably be short tracks and super speedways, not a road course. Then you had some more incidents in turn 5, like Denny Hamlin. He had a very up and down day. He reported that his brakes were failing and was wheel hopping a lot. Like I said, went off track in turn number 5. In the meantime, when that's going on, the battle still continues for the race lead between Cindric, DiBenedetto, and this time you throw in Kyle Busch into the mix. So Cindric takes the lead back from DiBenedetto in turn 5. Cindric then overdrives that corner, and that allows Kyle Busch, cheeky little Kyle Busch, to come by on the inside to take the lead from both of the guys. And then right when that happened is when everything went downhill for Cindric. He reported more problems with the car, something about with shocks or something not being right with the car around the back rear. He then spun out, I think 1 or 2 corners later, had to bring it onto pit road, and then they took the car to the garage. Which sucked because Cindric definitely showed a lot of speed. Maybe not a car to win the race, but he definitely had a lot of speed for a top 5 finish. So it did suck to see him go to the garage that early. More chaos around the racetrack. This all took place within seconds of each other. Well, after that happened, we turned back on the racetrack, and turn number 12, Corey LaJoie is spun around into the grass after he got out wide and made contact with Austin Dillon in turn number 12. Didn't hit the wall, but keeps it going and spilled a lot of grass onto the racetrack. Then Matty D, who fell back to I think 3rd or 4th at this time, he then reports a tire problem. And with 4 laps to go, he said that this tire is not going to make it to the end of the stage. Now remember, this is not a Watkins Glen where it takes maybe 90 seconds. This is a 4-mile racetrack, 130, 140 seconds at least to go around this racetrack. And you're asking for that 4 times on a tire problem. It was not going to last long. They brought it to pit road not too long after. Luckily for them, you also had a bunch of other drivers pit as well, as it was coming to the end of the stage, including leaders Kyle Busch and this time his teammate Mario Truex Jr., who were 1 and 2 at the time. They give up their positions and give the lead to Tyler Reddick. They also had more drivers going off the racetrack, like Kurt Busch, who was battling with Kyle Larson for 4th place at the time. He goes off track in turn number 7, but luckily doesn't hit any wall or a banner and keeps it going. Nothing really major to his car. And Tyler Reddick will go on to win stage number 2, which is important because he needs those playoff points and stage points in the fight to keep his spot in the playoffs. Second is William Byron. 3rd, Ross Chastain. Larson 4th. Kurt Busch in 5th. Joe Logano 6th. Kevin Harvick 7th. Bubba Wallace 8th. Justin Haley in 9th. And Kyle Busch rounds out the top 10. Mario Truex Jr. was going to be in good position for the final stage, but he was caught speeding on pit road, so that plan backfired on him. So then the final stage was when finally Chase Elliott came to life. But also he had to battle Kyle Busch and Matt DiBenedetto for that lead. Busch restarts in front of Matt DiBenedetto, but DiBenedetto gets a good run off of the kink, gets alongside Kyle Busch, and takes the lead. Then once that happens, Chase Elliott, he steps up to the plate. He passes Kyle Busch, and then not too long after, on lap 38, entering turn number 1, Chase gets underneath DiBenedetto, and he takes the lead. A caution then comes out with 20 laps to go, the fourth one and final one of that race. Anthony Alfredo blows a tire and spins into the gravel for the caution. This benefited Ryan Blaney, who had issues earlier in the race, who had damage to the hood of his car. They came up pit road to fix it when that caution came out. So as a result, when they restarted, Ryan Blaney was out in front, alongside Eric Almirola, who was also on pit road. It didn't take long. It took maybe 4 or 5 turns for them to fall back, and for the usual suspects of Matty D, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Busch to come up front. Chase Elliott gets a great run off of the carousel and takes the lead from Kyle Busch right before the kink. And then that was really it. That's really all that happened. There was a moment with 6 laps to go when Alex Bowman reported that he had no brakes. And then entering turn number 5, he clearly showed that he had no brakes because of how far he drove in the corner in turn number 5. And unfortunately, he turned his teammate Kyle Larson around. Larson was able to keep going, but after that incident, Larson really fell off. I think Larson was running 5th at that time. And once he spun, he just lost all of his speed and he fell outside the top 10. In the meantime, Alex Bowman, after that reporting brakes were failing, he also had a major tire rub on the left rear of his car. The team was deciding whether to have him stay out or to bring him on pit road. They eventually decided to bring him on pit road to fix the damage with 4 to go. And that was really it. You know, all of his other teammates really had problems. Even William Byron, who, like I said, who was up front early on, he had an incident late in the race. I think it was 16 laps ago when he just went off of the track in turn number 5 and had no speed. I don't know if he had an issue with the car or a problem or what, but he ended up finishing 33rd. He fell off so far. And really, every Hendrick driver had issues except for one. That was Chase Elliott. Once he took the lead from Kyle Busch coming off of the carousel right before the kink, he basically had like a Max Verstappen type of race by then because he had no issues, no one in front of him, cruised to victory to win at Road America, becoming the second driver in the Cup Series to win at that facility. His second win of 2021. He led 24 laps, and this is a crazy stat. His 6th road course win in the last 8 Cup races. His 7th road course win in his entire Cup Series career, and that is since 2018 when he won his first race at Watkins Glen. And he has finished inside the top 2 in 7 of the last 8 road course races. That is an unbelievable stat. And if we take a look at the most road course wins, the most road course wins in NASCAR history in the Cup Series is Jeff Gordon with 9, Stewart with 8. Chase Elliott is already 3rd on that list with 7. He already is ahead of Bobby Allison, Petty, Ricky Rudd, and Rusty Wallace with 6 wins apiece. And Chase is only 25 years old. He's only in his 6th full-time season of competition. He's 25 years old and already has 7 road course wins and is 2 away from the most. Like, you cannot deny this guy is just a god on the road courses. Say what you want about Larson, he might be the hottest driver in NASCAR, but you cannot deny Chase Elliott is the GOAT of NASCAR on road courses at the moment. You can question who's better, Jeff Gordon and Chase Elliott on the road courses, but I say right now, nobody can touch Chase on road courses. Not even, doesn't matter if it's tracks that you've been on forever, like Watkins Glen or Sonoma, or new tracks like COTA or Road America. And yeah, it's just another example of Hendrick Motorsports just being dominating. In the last 34 races in the Cup Series, Hendrick Motorsports won 15 times. The previous 133 races before those 34 races, they only won 14 times. I mean, it's unbelievable how much HMS flipped the switch from the end of 2020 till now. And it's another case of, with Hendrick Motorsports, of all 4 drivers being good, because say what you want about where they finish, all 3 drivers showed speed. Byron won a stage, Larson was up in the top 10, so was Alex Bowman. All of them had good cars. They didn't have the results, but they had good cars. And like almost every other race this season, when one Hendrick driver falls, another one steps up to the plate. It's not like other tracks or other teams, like Joe Gibbs, for example. With Joe Gibbs Racing, if Kyle Busch, let's say, struggles, no one's really there to pick up the pieces. With HMS, if Byron struggles, well, Larson will pick it up. If Bowman struggles, then Elliott picks it up. There's always someone there to pick up the pieces and continue the HMS domination. But all right, let's take a look at the results. So you had Chase Elliott winning. Christopher Bell, what a strong run for him. Second place, that's his best. I think that's his first top 5 since April, if I'm not mistaken. But right by him is Kyle Busch, a much needed run for him today, despite the troubles he had this weekend. Now about his older brother, Kurt. Kurt Busch has been putting on some strong runs as of late. Needs to in order to keep his spot in the playoffs. Currently 16th right now. Much needed top 5 run for him. And Denny Hamlin around to the top 5 and 6. Chase Briscoe, his first top 10, I think this is his first top 15 finish also this season. 6th place run, not surprising to see him run well at a track like Road America. He has a lot of experience on road courses, but still very cool to see Chase Briscoe show some speed in this race in what has been an abysmal year for not only him, but for SHR as a whole. Ross Chastain, another driver that needed a good run in the hunt for the playoffs, 7th place finish for him. Tyler Reddick, another driver who needed a good run. Nice top 10 for him. Marchuk Jr. didn't have the best car, but he had something go his way. This team has been just out of it since his win at Darlington in May. Finally, a nice top 10 run for him. And Matt DiBenedetto rounds out the top 10. Nice run for the 21 team. Then you had drivers like Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Brad Keselowski, Eric Almirola, and Joe Logano rounds out the top 5. Like I said with Kyle Larson, once he had that spin near the end of the race, his car just lost all of his speed, fell down to 16th. Cole Custer, Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones, and Ryan Blaney rounds out the top 20. Then you had LaJoy, Bowman, some other notables, Bubba Wallace 24th, Justin Haley 25th, nice run for that Spire Motorsports team, alongside with Corey LaJoy in 21st, Ty Dillon 26th, Kevin Harvick in 27th. I don't know what the issue was, but they pitted I think with 4 laps to go. I don't know if the broadcast talked about the reason why. I don't know if they were low on fuel or what, but it was really odd to see them pit that late in the race when really no one else pitted with them as well. James Davison 28th, Allmendinger 29th, McDowell in 30th, Newman 32nd. You see Byron there, 33rd place. Suarez was able to gain a couple spots, 36th, Alfredo 37th, and then you see drivers Austin Cindric and Ryan Preece 38th and 40th. They were all in the garage. Now let's take a look at the playoff grid. 6 races to go until the playoff begins at Darlington. Hamlin still now just has a 3-point gap in the overall season standings ahead of Kyle Larson. So he needs to be on top of his game as we get closer and closer till Darlington. Austin Dillon plus 98. Tyler Reddick, like I said, he was a guy that needed a good points day and he delivered. Gained a lot of points to get a huge buffer from that deadline, plus 75. Kurt Busch, another driver, needed a good run and he delivered. That now jumps from 3 points ahead to now 25 points ahead of Chris Buescher. Ross Chastain jumps up from a 21st to 18th place with his top 10 run today, minus 69 points. Stenhouse stays in the 19th spot, minus 70, and DiBenedetto jumps up to 20th, now minus 74. The two teams, the two new teams of Trackhouse and 2311 Racing and Bubba Wallace and Suarez, they all had really bad days. Bubba did get a top 10 in stage number 2, but outside of that, they both really were. Well, to be fair, Suarez really couldn't do anything. I mean, he was out of it by lap 5, but both of them did not need these types of runs when they're trying to make their way into the playoffs with now just 6 races to go in the regular season. And yeah, I overall thought it was a really good race. It wasn't anything special. It was cool. There was a lot of different battles, different strategies going on. I do have one request. If you're gonna look, you can keep the stage racing. If you want stage racing, fine, you can keep it. But for the love of God, can we please get rid of the stage cautions, especially at a track like Road America, a track that's 4 miles long? No, I do not want. No, these stage breaks, these stage cautions, they're not necessary, and it just makes it just takes forever to get back to racing. I believe NASCAR, they've done a lot better in trying to get back to racing than in years past, but still, I think for road courses at least, I want stage racing gone, but if you're going to keep stage racing, get rid of the stage cautions, especially at road courses. They're not necessary and they just drag everything and make the racing a lot longer than it needs to be. Yeah, other than that, I have no issues with this race. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the strategy. I enjoyed the passing. I enjoyed the racing. I liked seeing new people up towards the front like Briscoe, Cindric, and DiBenedetto. They showed some speed. It was really cool to see. And it's not going to live up. I want to say this. I think this is a good alternate for NASCAR to have July 4th at Road America. It's not going to live up to the hype that July 4th had at Daytona. But this is a nice alternative. You know, it's not going to be the one. Like I said, it's a nice alternative, and I would like to see the Cup Series return to Road America next season. Yeah, I don't know what else to really say about this race. It was just overall a great race. I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the racing, enjoyed the battles, the storylines, the broadcast. Everything was just great about it. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this playoff grid changes every race. Next weekend, we got Atlanta going. So Chase Elliott's got a lot of momentum on his side, returning back to his home track. Should be fun to watch. And yeah, that's it for this episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. Tell me in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on this race? Did you like it? Did you not? But until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Congratulations to Chase Elliott, your winner at Road America. We'll see you next time.